Welcome to Tail Learn Code. Here there will be tales about software development, learning from each other, code to build solutions. And now your host, Chad Green.
So for everyone who's been on, I want to welcome Veronika, and tell me how you pronounce your last name.
It's tricky. My last name is Kolesnikova. Kolesnikova. Yeah, you were close.
It's funny. I am a true American, and I mispronounce anyone's name who's not a quote unquote American name. But I hate that. Right? I always try to pronounce everyone's name correctly. Right? But so welcome. I really appreciate you joining us tonight. It was funny. I was just telling people how great of a turnout we had for this interview series. And I know you were the ones who like just got in too late to in the original set of dates we provided out, and because I mean they filled up in like 2 days, and then and so I think you were the first one who asked me, well, can I have a different, is there any other dates that are going to come up? So it was great that you were able to sign up and we were able to have you, because this is a great way for us to introduce speakers. Especially like you. I mean, you've never spoken at Code PaLOusa before. Although the interesting part with Code PaLOusa here is we're not regional so much. Now that we're online, I mean, you could be coming from anywhere in the world attending. Although I still expect most of our attendees will be still regional because they're used to the conference. But it's great having you. So tell me about who are you? What do you do during the day?
So I'm Veronika Kolesnikova again. I am a software engineer in Boston, Massachusetts. I actually live right south of Boston, but my office was in downtown Boston. Now everyone is working from home.
Right.
I am mostly doing backend web development, but I'm really interested in mobile development. I'm interested in machine learning, and I'm a Microsoft MVP in AI. I got it for the first time last year.
Awesome.
And hopefully I'll get it again next year. It's always tricky.
Are you up for renewal right now? Are you up for renewal now, or are you on a different cycle than everybody else?
I think I should be on the same cycle with everyone.
Because it all depends on when you got MVP.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, so the Microsoft MVP program, Most Valuable Professional, most everyone renews on July 1st. So none of us know if we're going to be an MVP after 2 more weeks. We have to wait until we get those emails back.
Fingers crossed.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the way I'm feeling too.
Yeah, I'm also a public speaker, so I'm presenting at local events and events around the US. And also, I am a co-organizer of Boston Azure, and that is one of the oldest, I think maybe it's the oldest Azure user group in the world.
That's awesome.
We celebrated 10 years anniversary last year.
Oh my goodness. Well, when you were saying one of the oldest, I was like, oh, okay, probably 6 years old or so. No, that's from the early days of Azure.
Yeah.
When it was, 10 years ago, it was mostly just infrastructure at that point.
Unfortunately, I didn't join 10 years ago.
Right.
But I joined a little more than a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you helped running it?
Sorry?
You helped running it, if I remember right?
Yes. So the main organizer is Bill Wilder, and I'm helping him. But now we actually combine forces with North Boston Azure User Group. So they used to host meetups in Burlington, Massachusetts. But because now we do only virtual events, we decided to combine forces and combine, our meetups together into one. So Jason Haley is also helping out.
Mm-hmm. Oh, great. So how did you get started in technology?
I went to school for computer science. So actually, my bachelor is I have double major there. So it's applied computer science and economics. That's how I started. At that time I wanted to be an economist actually, more than I wanted to be a software engineer. But I decided to do both. And by the end of my bachelor, I realized that economics wasn't really for me, and I really enjoyed doing software engineering. That's how I started. Um, and then I started my career as a quality assurance engineer first, and then in probably 2 to 3 years, I moved to development, and now I'm full-time developer. I have close to 7 years of industry experience, and also I got master's degree just when it was four. Oh my god, it was 4 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Time flies.
Yep.
Yeah, so 4 years ago I got my master's in information technology, and I'm continuing my development experience.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And then, so how long have you been in Boston?
I moved to Massachusetts for grad school.
Okay.
So it was 6 years ago. And then I moved to Worcester first. There was my grad school. And then I slowly started moving closer and closer to Boston. And now I'm really close.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love Boston. I used to work, so I've always, well, I haven't always lived here in Louisville, but I've lived here in Louisville for a long, well, I'm from Louisville originally, moved away, moved back, but actually for about a year and a half, I worked for a company in Boston. So I would travel up there most weeks. It was one of those, I'd fly up Monday morning, work throughout the week, and then come home on Fridays. You mentioned Burlington. I know Burlington very well. That's where our office was.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice.
And then what's nice, so now my daughter's actually a grad student at BU.
Really? It's a
Yeah.
really good school.
That's a really great school. She's been having a blast. Of course, she's in the weird one because she's studying music, which they have a very good music school, but it's, of course, not what BU's known for. But she's been, she finished her first year. She's excited to go back for a second year because, of course, she's been home since March. It was funny. She didn't really want to come home, but mom was like, "Yeah, you need to come home."
Yeah.
So, how have you been handling with the pandemic? How much change has that been for you?
It's tough. On one hand, I'm an introvert, so I'm fine to be just by myself and work and do my stuff. That's what I usually do. But I really miss people around me, and especially being a public speaker. I miss going to conferences.
Yeah, me too.
Traveling, meeting new people. We moved all the I think all conferences, they moved online this year. And for me, that's not the same. Though I'm really happy that now I can share my knowledge with anyone in the world. I recently gave a talk at a meetup in Nigeria.
Oh, wow.
So that was fun. That's the benefit of it. But on the other side, I really miss traveling and meeting people and being around people.
Yeah, it's weird. I now haven't traveled since the end of February, and I usually travel like twice a month to go speak at conferences. To include, I was supposed to be in Boston for the Boston Code Camp. Obviously, that got postponed and then it got canceled. So it's hopefully I get to do that next time around.
Yeah.
So, they had the hard one because they were out of Microsoft Office, and obviously Microsoft's closed all their offices for quite a while now.
Yeah, I went to Boston Code Camp, I think 3 times, 4 times. I really like it. It's one of my favorite events in Boston.
I've always heard great things about it, so I was really looking forward to being able to do that this year. Plus, it was a chance for me to see my daughter for a day or two. So I was really looking forward to that. But and it was so funny because so originally it was the day after MVP Summit, and so I was actually going to fly a red eye from Seattle to Boston, land in Boston at like 8 o'clock in the morning, and then go speak, and then probably crash. But so I was really looking for that, and then obviously it got postponed for obvious reasons, and well, no, actually it didn't get postponed. So in my history with it, so the MVP Summit got put online, and then so I remember sending them an email. All right, you don't have to worry about me flying overnight. I'm now going to fly the day before, and they're like, oh, don't tell anyone yet. But we're going to announce in a couple of days that we're going to move it to June. I'm like, oh, okay. And then I think a quick, oh no, I never rebooked my ticket because I was like, I'll just wait to rebook my plane ticket. But then it got canceled, which is understandable.
Yeah, I was so looking forward to the MVP Summit because that was supposed to be my first one.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
And admittedly, that was the thing I was waiting for more than anything else about being MVP, was to be able to go to the summit.
Yeah,
and
I heard so much about it.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can share my feeling and understand what I'm
Well, that's why it's funny, I mean, some of the some friends who've been MVPs for a long time are like, it's just a summit, I'm like, yeah, but see, you're saying that because you've been to like 10 summits so far, right? I've been hearing about this for forever. Now I finally am eligible to do it, except for we canceled all things, and of course no summit next year. Well, no physical summit, because they've already announced that next year it'll be online also. So which is a bit of a bummer. So I know I was telling my coordinator how, oh man, eventually I'll get to go, right? But I definitely understand how you feel about that. So, sure enough, so it's interesting, and sure, I saw you. Now I forget the name of the podcast. You did back in April, but so you were talking about you're a backend developer, but you're really, at least your passion at night is machine learning, AI, and that type of thing. So, tell me what has grabbed your attention with that? Why are you so interested in that?
Actually, it's kind of a long story.
Sure.
So I had a course, ML course, in my undergrad, but I didn't pay attention to it because it wasn't that popular at that time, and now I really regret about it. But slowly, I found my way back to artificial intelligence and machine learning. Especially now, it's getting so. I don't want to say easy, because easy, depends on so many different factors, but it is more accessible for people without special education. So even if you don't have any experience in machine learning, you don't have special degree, you can still just jump and start using machine learning tools, like, for example, cognitive services developed by Microsoft. They have APIs and SDKs that already pre-built. You basically can plug it to your application and start it working with machine learning. So that's where I started. I think I was thinking it was something cool. I decided to try it. At that time, I was working for University of Massachusetts Medical School, and we were working with an app for meditation, and we were trying to figure out how to improve it because the UI and the whole thing was kind of bad. And that's when I actually found cognitive services. And what we did, we actually used, at that time, it was Face API. I think now they merged it to, I think it was Vision. But, since then they merged several services together. So now it's not Face API anymore. It's part of another one. But at that time, so what the app was doing, basically a person opened the app. There was a really ugly drop down, and the question above it saying, "How do you feel? Good, bad?" Like, you basically need to pick your feelings and emotions
Mm-hmm.
before meditation, and then you did the meditation, and then after you saw the same ugly drop down. When I saw the drop down, my mood was down right away. So we needed to change that, and we use the cognitive services. So people didn't need to see all that mess. They could just take a picture of them, and then the API would recognize the emotions, save it to the database, and then later on the doctor could see, okay, before it was the patient was in a bad mood or was angry, and then he or she did the meditation session, and then after it improved or maybe didn't improve, and then based on that information, doctors could actually work with those patients. So that was my first experience working with machine learning. And after that, I got so excited about it, started learning about different cognitive services. And then last year, I went to build in person. uh, and there, they actually introduced ML.NET and introduced the model builder, and I started learning more and more about the AutoML and ML.NET, and my I'm trying to figure out what next out there. So I started with something that was easily understandable, and now I'm learning more and more about it, and I'm super excited.
Mm-hmm. Just a second, I'm actually. Someone just let me know that I didn't change the title to show your name instead of one who we were just interviewing. Here we got an interesting comment. Oh yeah, so sure. Have you met Jennifer Marsman at Microsoft?
No.
Oh, you would love her. So she's so she's now so the comment on there is a good person to meet and learn about AI. And Sean on the chat is definitely correct. So she's working with the Microsoft for AI team, or that's not what it's called. It's something like that. So basically, it's a Microsoft initiative to help bring AI to all different types of organizations. So she's working with and it's a grant fund, right? So they're providing grants to these people who are using AI for different types of uses all over the world, like a lot of work with like agriculture, and figuring out when's the right time to plant seeds or to harvest and that type of thing. She's extremely passionate about AI. Sure enough, I'll tell you what, after this call, I'll actually send you an introduction email because I think you would really love her, right? And I mean, I love Jennifer. I've known Jennifer for a long time. A really good person.
Awesome. I would love to meet her.
Yeah. So, it's awesome. So let's talk about your talks. You're actually doing two different talks at Code PaLOusa. So one is make your applications interactive with speech services, and then another one, augmented reality and mobile. New can't even read my own writing. The two worlds collide. I butchered the title, but that's So basically, you're talking about AI and augmented reality. So I mean, let's talk about the AI or the speech services first. So I mean, what are people going to get out of that talk?
So I just want to provide overview of cognitive services and what is available right now. Microsoft keeps working on those services. They keep updating them. Even during build, they announced so many awesome improvements in cognitive services, including speech services. So now they support more languages, and also they have so-called neural voices. So voices that are really close to actual human voices. Sometimes it's really hard to determine if you're talking to a person or it's artificial. And then I can show that there might be several scenarios where you would want to use speech services. And also there is an option to customize them if out of the box, if all the functionality out of the box is not enough for your specific application, then there's a way to customize them. So I'll show just I'll provide some information about the cognitive services and speech services specifically, and then I'm planning to show a demo with several scenarios how developers can use speech services in their applications.
I tell you, speech service is the one I played with the most. With it, I mean, I'm definitely a novice when it comes to cognitive services, but it's amazing how easily they've made everything to work with it. You know, and you know, I've heard people say it really well. It's just an API at that point, right? All you're doing is just putting code in and getting code, you know, getting something pretty cool back. It's pretty neat what you can do with very little knowledge.
And SDKs.
Yeah.
They are easily connected with other cognitive services and with all kinds of applications. So people don't have to be .NET developers. They can use, I don't know, Swift or Node.js and still use the cognitive services. Mm-hmm. And that's the awesome part of it.
Yeah. No, so that sounds great. And then, so your other talk you're going to be doing is about augmented reality and mobile. So, you know, I mean, what are we going to get out of that kind of talk?
So that one is a lot tricky. I know we went back and forth because I presented it in person, and in person it looks really impressive when you show the augmented reality and show how you, using your mobile device, can actually see augmented objects on the floor or on the wall, and that is also like a little show. Mm-hmm. Really exciting, and it's a little tricky to bring the same effect in a virtual conference, but hopefully it will work out, and people will see that they can use augmented reality with mobile. So there are so many different tools that can enable mixed reality and augmented reality, virtual reality. There are so many different realities. I will provide the overview so people can understand the difference. Sometimes people think it's obvious, but sometimes they have fine line, and we'll try to understand where the line is in all those realities. And also I will demo a Xamarin app and using the Azure Spatial Anchors to add augmented reality to a Xamarin app. But you know, Azure Spatial Anchors can be used not only with Xamarin, they can be also used for iOS devices or Android devices. If people are native developers, they can also use that. I'm just really excited about Xamarin. I created several personal projects using Xamarin. I'm all about cross-platform. I really like, you know, the option that you can write a code just once and it will work everywhere. That's why I'm going to show the spatial anchors with Xamarin applications.
I gotta admit, I did not realize you could do that with Xamarin, doing the augmented reality and such. I knew you could do it natively because I've seen tons of demos that way. So that's pretty cool that you can also do it with Xamarin, you know, which kind of levels the playing field. Native development's hard, right? You know, it's, you know, whereas something like Xamarin definitely it makes it so, you know, a regular backend developer can do it, right? You know, I'm not really talking about you. I'm talking about me. You know, me being a regular backend developer, I can use something like Xamarin to do that. Which, you know, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really convenient. So you don't have to learn Swift or Objective-C or Java. You can just jump, use your C Sharp, use .NET, and be a mobile developer.
Mm-hmm. No, I really like what Microsoft's done. Excuse me about that. Allergies. Yeah, that's a problem about living in this part of the country. Is allergies are horrible. But yeah, I mean that's been the one great part about what they've done with Xamarin. And I'm really interested to see, of course, now Xamarin is going to move over to Maui and see that being brought into more, things will really open up a lot more possibilities. I mean, now we have to wait till .NET 6, but still, I think we'll see some really great things with that.
Yeah, unfortunately, they delayed their release because
Right.
I was so excited. I wanted to try it. But I guess we have to wait until next year.
Well, so what I heard from Scott Hunter is you really don't have to wait till basically the end of this year. It's pretty much what he was saying was, if I understood this correctly, was that pretty much right after they release .NET 5, the first preview of .NET 6 is going to come out. That will include, I don't know how much of Maui, but it's definitely going to include Maui. But I think in December we're going to start seeing that. So,
Maybe.
and like I said, I am the worst when it comes to developing front ends, which is why I develop APIs, right? But I gotta admit, at build, or not at build, but at MVP Summit, when I heard about Maui, I was really excited about that. Hear what was coming up with that.
Yeah, it is different, but still based on Xamarin, so
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah, I mean, they're taking the benefit of Xamarin and then merging it with everything else in .NET. It's not going to be a separate namespace anymore.
Yeah, so more cross-platform solutions.
Exactly, and that, which is awesome, right? I mean, as a longtime Microsoft developer, I'm really glad to see that. The more we can get, the better off we are. Especially as so in my role where we have native apps, right, and just another thing we have to build, and the more we can actually merge that in, I think that's great.
Yeah, and I saw that other companies, they're also trying to move to kind of cross-platform solutions.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to see the Apple's event today, but I unfortunately didn't have time. But I heard some news.
Yeah, I haven't gone to look to see what all actually was announced today. I know they were supposed to announce the moving Macs to ARM or not to ARM templates, but to ARM processors.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, I haven't had a chance to because I've been swamped today. Be curious to see what all actually did get announced, how much of the rumors were true, and so forth.
Yeah.
It's an interesting time. Well, it's always an interesting time to be in technology, but especially the last couple of years, it's definitely been a lot of fun. A lot of changes, keeps you busy. Keep on learning new things. It's definitely a lot of fun.
I love being a developer and being around developers and learn something new every day.
Mm-hmm.
It's really exciting.
So you love it, but so talk about. What are the challenges you see as being a developer?
I think it's like everywhere else. Communication is the key. And if some parts are missing, then it is really hard to figure out what clients want or how the solution architects see the solution. Or there are so many different parts of development. We have clients and project managers and solution architects and developers. And I think the communication is probably one of the main parts there,
Mm-hmm.
if not the main part. That's why it's important to have. I know no one likes meetings, but sometimes it's important to have those to understand what's going on before you actually jump and write code. I know writing code is exciting, but rewriting code is not that exciting.
Right. No, well, I think that's a pretty common challenge. I don't think just in technology. I do think we have a little bit more in technology because, I mean, like you mentioned, I mean, most of us are very introverted, so it's a little bit harder to get us to start talking. Although what I do find with most technologies, once they're talking, you can't get them to stop, right? Getting them started, right, is the hard part. But
Yeah.
so I'm curious, what is your advice to women, trying to get into technology?
That's a good question. So I I'm always thinking about role of minorities and women in technology and other areas. I actually have different background because I grew up in Russia. But from my perspective, I always remember my my instructor who taught me how to drive back in Russia. And he was also saying, when you drive, you are not a woman or a man, you are a driver. So same thing, I think, can be can be said about all kinds of work.
Yeah.
Same thing is for developers. When we are developing something, we're not men and women, we're developers. And no, I think it's a simple thought, but when you start thinking more about it, that brings confidence. Some people, they have anxiety about what people think. Maybe they are minority, and they want to, interact with. They want to have like additional boost. But when they start thinking about, um, being just a developer, if you're a good developer, if you put in effort, if you working, then it doesn't matter where you came from, what is your background, and I think that's important to remember. Just push harder and work harder, and that's my motto. I always, when something is not going right, then that means I need to work harder.
Oh, great. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, so we definitely need more women, more people of color, and all that type of stuff in the industry. But you bring an interesting light to it, right? It's when you're actually developing. I mean, there's really not much difference to what race you are, what sex you are. The code is equaling part, right? And with it being said, I definitely argue though, we need to make sure we still have that diversity in the teams, because that's as I always tell everyone, we can't all be a bunch of mid 40-year-old white guys on a development team, because guess what, our users aren't all mid 40-year-old white guys, right?
Yeah.
But no, I like that. That's an interesting aspect. I don't know if I've heard that before. Just at the code level, it doesn't really matter who wrote it. It's just the code. I like the analogy of the driver part of it. Although it's funny.
Yeah, but I'm always happy to support. I'm always interacting with women developers. I'm always happy to share my experience if it helps someone. We had, and I think it was in January, we had an event for people who wanted to become public speakers. And it was an educational event for them. So
the Global Diversity CFP Day?
Yes.
So I did the one here in Louisville. That was
awesome.
A lot of fun. I really enjoyed doing that.
It was great. Yeah. I'm really happy I had a chance to participate and boost someone's mood and kind of share my experience. And so I hope those people we'll see those people soon at different events.
Now, so the awesome. So I had we had 6 or 7 people at the one in Louisville. Now, great, and I mean, we started planning it like just a couple weeks prior to the event because I found out about not too long before. And so one of the people who actually was there is speaking to Code PaLOusa. She did submit, and you know, I was so it was really cool when I saw her submission. You know, and I definitely made sure we picked that one because actually I talked to her personally during that day. You know, giving advice. Well, here, do this, do that, don't do this. And, that was one of the funnest things I've done in a long time. Was that Diversity Day, and I hope we get to, you know, now with COVID, I hope we still can do something again, you know, next year for that.
Yeah, that was my first one, but it was really fun. I'm glad that people showed up. They were so excited. We did all those exercises. We talked a lot. It was great.
Yeah, no, I'm glad to hear you did that, and I'm glad you had a good time with it. Because, like I said, I know I really enjoyed my day that I did with that. Like I said, it was a lot of fun. So, so what do you like to do for fun?
I like traveling, dancing, and aerial yoga.
So I looked that up because I saw that in your bio, and it looks pretty crazy.
Unfortunately, I can't travel right now, and I can't do aerial yoga, and I can only dance with people I live with. Mm-hmm. That's it. So it's really limited, but hopefully it will go back to normal.
So for those who don't know, I mean, describe what aerial yoga is.
So aerial yoga, we basically have like a silk hanging from the ceiling, and it's not super high, so it's not like in circus, but it is kind of similar. And then we can do yoga poses inside that hammock or that silk, and it's really fun. So it's not as crazy as circus, but it is still active and fun, and it's good for core work.
Oh, yeah. I would say you must be really fit to be able to do that. Because I mean, like I said, I was watching a little bit of that today, and I'm saying, oh my goodness, that's how could you think about trying to do that?
You started with like small things,
sure.
Then you move forward, and it's getting easier.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's like I said. When I read your bio, I saw that, and I was like, "Oh, that looks interesting." Well, I got at first I was like, "What is aerial yoga?" That's not something that I'd heard before.
Yeah, I discovered it 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. Some of my friends, they were doing circus. When I saw it, I was really excited about it. And then I went to one class, and I'm like, yeah, maybe that's too much for me. And then I found information about aerial yoga, which is kind of similar, but way safer.
Oh, cool. So you mentioned you love traveling. What's been your favorite place you've traveled to in the last couple of years?
I haven't traveled too far. I was traveling around the U.S. Lots of different conferences and events. For vacation, I really liked Puerto Rico.
Okay, yeah, I love Puerto Rico.
It was great there. For work or conferences, I really liked Seattle. So last year I went there for the first time. And Seattle was beautiful. It didn't rain when I was there.
Right. So yeah, it's fine. I've been to Seattle twice. The first time I was there, it rained the whole time, which is what it's supposed to do in Seattle. The second time, it was actually for Visual Studio 2012 launch, and and they told us it was an invite event, and they were telling us that like lunch was going to be outside. And I'm like, it's always raining in Seattle. How are we going to have lunch outside? Turned out to be that day. It was an absolutely gorgeous day. and lunch was right there on the wharf, and it was really neat. Yeah, no, I like Seattle too. It's a neat city.
Yeah, when it's not raining, it's awesome there.
Mm-hmm. Problem is, it's like always raining. Which is why, I mean, people from the area, they talk about how they dress so that you don't really worry about umbrellas. You just dress in clothes that dry off really quickly. And yeah, I don't know if I could do that.
I don't know. I like living in Boston.
Yeah.
We have, I think we have lots of cool things. We have ocean here. I really like going to the beach. And at the same time, we have technology and business here and good schools. So,
Yeah. No, like I was mentioning at the beginning, I mean, I love Boston, and I was really excited when my daughter moved there. I'm not sure where she'll be after next year. Like I said, when she got Boston, I mean, so in the end, it was between Florida State and Boston, and I was really happy when she got into Boston because such a great city, so many opportunities there. I mean, there's just so much going on. It's a neat city. Plus, what I like about Boston is it's kind of got that small town feel, but it's not small at all. I mean, it's a massive town.
Yeah.
I mean, number one, like you talked about, you're actually south of Boston, which means you're in a whole other city. But it's really just all, I mean, Boston itself, I mean, for those who don't know, I mean, the city of Boston is actually not that big geographically, but then it has all these little cities that surround it to make up the Boston metropolitan area. But it's also neat because those little cities have their own individuality too. Yeah, like I said, I miss going to Boston all the time. Although I don't know how long you've been in Boston, but I was there during the Big Dig. That's when that's when I was traveling there. The Big Dig wasn't so fun to be around. Yeah, where they tore up the whole city to build all the tunnels.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. So with that, I mean, any parting thoughts? Anything that you're really excited about recently?
I think I'm gonna repeat myself. So
Oh, no problem.
in that virtual world that we now live in, with all the conferences moved online and meetups and events, although I'm missing people, it is awesome that I have a chance to connect with people online, connect with people from different countries, different continents, share my knowledge, give feedback, and receive feedback. I have a chance to interact with people online, and that is great. Thanks for so many awesome tools that keep us connected,
Yeah.
although we're kind of all apart right now. And I'm looking forward to Code PaLOusa. I'm super excited. That will be my first Code PaLOusa.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully next year you'll be able to come back and we'll be back in person. Because for someone who loves traveling, Louisville is definitely a great place to come and travel to. We have a lot of fun things here.
I've never been there.
Yeah.
I would like to come.
Well, so hopefully next year, we'll be past all this and we can actually meet in person again.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, again, I really appreciate. Number one, I love the fact that you're speaking to Code PaLOusa. Not that I met you, but I heard you on something in the MVP, one of the MVP chats and that type of thing, and heard enough about you that I was really excited when I saw your submission. So it's great to have you as a speaker, and even better to have you tonight. Just talking with you for the last 45 minutes or so. Say thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Well, great. Well, I'll talk to you later then.
Bye.
Bye.